Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we talk about winning in CEDH. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Cameron. Commander Legends is just released, actually,
It's
today.
out, yeah,
that we're filming it is the last day of spoilers.
The last day of spoilers.
Just came out with the full set. So we thought it would be apropos to start talking about the cards that we think are going to be good in the format.
Right. So I made a list of the top, I don't know, just all of the cards that I thought might see play in CEDH.
Top cards.
We're going to go over them one by one. And see what role they'll fill, if they're going to be in the 99, if they're going to be part of the Commander, what we're going to be doing in this new set, because I think there's a lot of cool cards. First one on the list is I don't even know how to... Rograk,
There's
son of Rograk.
so many names in this set that I'm going to absolutely butcher. I'm so
100%.
excited about this, yeah.
King of the Kobolds, the Kobold Warrior. It's a 0-drop.
He's not the king.
Legendary. It's not the king?
No, he's the son of...
And that's the king? I thought king can be a son.
So there's... Well, no, because usually the son is the prince.
But he's a legendary. There's no other legendary...
Actually, there is a card... I heard this. There is another card
It's a Jund card, but it's not a 0-1. It's a big thing. It doesn't matter. It's a Kobold Warrior. Yeah. It's a 0-mana creature, and it's red. It has First Strike, Menace, Trample, and Partner, and it's a 0-1. This card I think is funny because it hilariously does as close to nothing as possible, but I think in CEDH it's going to be an actual commander. I think this is really good. Some of the Turbo Ad Nauseam decks are already looking to play 0-drop creatures. I know just because of how good it is with Culling the Weak and other effects like that, looking to farm your creatures into more mana and more card advantage. I know decks like... Winota is going to love cards like this because this is a non-human that can attack and it's 0 mana, and it also
gets right out there.
It gets through. It has evasion. I think this card is going to be really good, mainly in Turbo Ad Nauseam decks.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too. There's already decks out there that may run like things like Ornithopter,
right? And
just having a more relevant 0 mana creature is perfect.
One of the things that I'm excited for this is in the upcoming the gameplay video that we're going to be doing. One of the partners that I paired Rograth with is with Thrasios in a Divergent deck, using Divergent Transformation to exile 2 creatures, your 2-mana Thrasios and your 0-mana Rograth, to find Thassa's Oracle and Leveler. I'm not sure how competitive that is, but it seems pretty good.
I mean, Divergent is certainly a card that we've seen in the format before, usually in Kaikar strategies.
It's a 4-mana, 1-card win condition, kind of. You need to have your commanders out, but when your commander's total costs 2 mana and there are 2 bodies... That seems pretty good to me.
What I think stinks about combos like that, though, is that you do have situations, and they're very rare, where like Leveler gets in your hand.
When you draw it, right?
A lot of people are wheeling, so you do have a lot of chances where it could just end up there. But even still, 5 mana is not necessarily like impossible in this format.
And you're also playing, I'm playing Brainstorm, obviously, and Scroll Rack, too, as ways to kind of put it back if you accidentally draw it or something like that.
So you do have outs to that unfortunate situation when that comes up.
And you can also just cast it, too. I mean, if you do draw it, that's kind of a bummer, but now your combo is 7 mana, and you just have to find Thassa's Oracle, 5 and 2, and then you cast your 2 creatures, and that's your win. I mean, yes, that is a bummer. That can happen.
Yeah.
But you're also playing, I mean, we'll touch more on that deck as it comes. That one's coming in a week. But Rograth has a, how do we even say this? Did we decide it's Rograk? That H is silent.
Yeah, the H is silent,
son
definitely.
of Raga.
Raga.
Which is not the same word as the first word.
Roga.
I thought those boards were both the same.
I don't know.
I'm calling him Rog. The card is Rog, and that's what I'll be referring to him as from now on.
I'm into
Next card, Crack. I think Krark? Krark. No, Kark. Krark.
It's Krark.
Krark from
the
KCI.
Thumbless.
This is KCI. This is Karkland Ironworks. This is the person of the Ironworks. Krark the Thumbless.
You know him from his Thumb, which does coin flip stuff in very, very random casual decks.
And so does this card, even though it is a thumbless card, it does coin flip stuff. I'm not sure how he's flipping them. That's part of the joke, probably. It's a 2-mana Goblin Wizard, legendary creature. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, return that spell to its owner's hand. If you win the flip, copy that spell, and you may choose new targets for the copy. It has Partner. I think this card has something. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I think there's something here. The main thing is with cards that say whenever you cast a spell, get a benefit, I think Krark is going to do excellent things in those decks.
So, like, if you pair that up with another...
You have to pair it up with something else. I'm not even sure if these type of cards exist, but I think the potential for Krark to be broken is there. I just don't know exactly how, so I wanted to include it on the list.
That is interesting because you can still, like, with a curiosity on, like, a Vial Smasher, you're still able to get the cast trigger off of something.
Right.
And then you can still get the card back in your hand.
The
The
big
only
thing is-
thing that I don't like about it is that this is not a May ability. The only May on this card is choosing who the new copies are.
That's true.
For
So,
the
so
thing that
you are
cast.
kind of, you can't be reactive, right? You can't
No,
rely
this
on
is
your
not a
counter
reactive
spells.
strategy.
You're
so this
going
would
all
be
in on Croc.
Exactly. This would be a very all-in thing. But with it being a partner, you are able to pair it with a commander like Thrasios, where you're able to play like a lot of cards that would have a lot of value with that.
Yeah, I think the main place that Croc is going to shine, if anywhere, and I'm not really sure it's anywhere, but is with specific storm type cards that want you to cast a lot of spells. What's the new Jeskai one? The enchantment. You know what I'm talking about? The 4-mana enchantment whenever you cast a non-creature, draw a card.
Oh, Winds. It's
Winds
a
of something.
or
That
I
card,
think.
that's
It's
kind
here.
of that's kind of what I'm thinking of. Yeah, if you're watching the video, it's going to be on screen right
Yeah.
now. If you're just listening, sorry. But that's the type of effect that I think this card would be good with, because
Yeah.
no matter what, if you cast a Gitaxian Probe, you draw a card off the non-creature, flip a coin. If you get heads, you draw 2 cards. If you get tails, you put it back in your hand and you just cast it again.
Yeah, and
That-
Gitaxian Probe is a really
and
good
it's free,
example
right?
there, where,
That's like
it
the
is
perfect
free.
example. So like, I think there is something to do with Croc. I'm not strong enough to figure out what that is. I'm not smart enough, rather, to figure out what that is.
We're flinging
I'm
spells.
plenty
It is
strong,
straight-
but I'm not smart enough to figure out where this card goes. I just think it maybe could go somewhere.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know how much faith I have in it, but I think that it's a funny card and it's still worth talking about.
2 mana and it can copy spells.
That's the thing.
The
It
ceiling
is 2 mana.
high.
It is 2 mana, so
We'll see. Next one, Arumi of the Dead Tide. Arumi. I'm not
Arumi.
sure. It's a 1 blue and black legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. It's a 1/4. I don't know if I said the stats on the Croc. Croc's a 2/2. Anyway, it's a 1/4, this card, Arumi. And it has a tap ability that says exile cards from your graveyard equal to the number of opponents you have. So it'll be 3 in our format. Target creature card in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. The Encore cost is equal to its mana cost.
this
Encore,
card has potential to be absolutely busted.
another high ceiling. Encore, in
Yes.
case you're not familiar, which you're probably not because it is a new mechanic, says that you may exile it from your graveyard and pay the Encore cast, whatever that mana is. In this case, it would be the creature's mana cost. And you can exile it and then put a token that's a copy of it onto the battlefield for each opponent that you have, and it gains haste. And you sacrifice at the end of turn.
Yeah,
Super
embalm,
embalm.
but you don't get to keep the token.
Embalm it. Like make the screen go red for that. But yeah, so the ceiling, the main things that you can do, things like Gilded Drake.
Yes.
If you get to Thought Scour over a Gilded Drake, maybe get it, entomb a Gilded Drake into your graveyard, and you are able to activate this to get a Gilded Drake back and swap it for 3 opponents' creatures, 1 for each. That's really good.
That is nuts. Yeah.
There's, I don't know, what do you have anything
like
else for
even
this?
like no, I guess not Dark Confidant. That's a bad one.
yeah.
But there's still a lot of like Phantasmal Image.
Phantasmal
like
Image is a good
being
one.
able to just copy someone's. Oh my god, being able to copy one person's Dockside Extortionist is just fantastic with this. So like, and if other players just have any other kind of good enter the battlefield creatures, which I mean, all good creatures have enter the battlefield abilities now.
Right.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, this one's another one with the high ceiling that could maybe find its way inside a 99. I'm not sure if like Anala, since this is a wizard, I don't know if Anala wants this. Could Anala use this effect?
That's the thing. I think, when you just think of it being the commander, I think that is a little bit too narrow because especially in this format, there aren't a ton of blue and black. There's a good bunch. Like you can get Spell Seekers.
Yeah.
Like go get you 3 cards. But there's outside of a couple of big hitters, there's not like a ton of stuff that is really pulling me to make this effect my commander.
Right.
If this is like a really good value engine in something, I could definitely see that. I mean, I really like this card. I certainly don't want to say that it's going to make a terrible commander. You're in the best colors in the format.
I'm sure you
certainly.
could make a fine commander.
Exactly. I mean, you can get someone else's Thassa's Oracle and then Tainted Pact and then have that as like a backup way to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. Or
this as a deck is also very dependent on who your opponents are in general then too.
That's true.
That being said, we're also playing a lot of decks that like to put creatures in their graveyards as well.
Yeah, I think there's a ceiling here. It may be a little slow. A 3-mana creature that has to untap is a little slow, but
that is also true.
I think it's got a powerful ability. So
yeah, I think Encore in general is just a powerful.
Yeah, and
ability.
Encore when the mana cost is equal to the creature's CMC. Normally Encore ability is like 7 mana or something ridiculous. It's cards like this, which is the same reason why Underworld Breach. I mean, one of many reasons why Underworld Breach is so powerful is because it's 3 cards no matter what. It doesn't change. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
With other cards, they measure them and they make them balanced. But when this changes the costs of stuff, it imbalances the stuff, which I think has a potential there.
I agree. Can I read the next one? Because I fucking love this card. This is Hull Breacher. This is 2 and a blue for a creature merfolk pirate. Love that they brought back pirates, by the way. It's a 3/2 with flash, and it says if an opponent would draw a card except for the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead, you create a treasure token. I think we're going to see a theme with a lot of these cards where if it says treasure on it, our eyes for this format in particular are going to be drawn directly to it.
Yeah.
Especially when the opening line of that phrase is the same thing that's on a Notion Thief.
Right, yeah. This card is basically Narset Part of Veils plus Smothering Tithe at a 3 mana on a creature with flash. I think this card is truly amazing. I absolutely think it is an instantly CDH staple card.
100%.
I think it goes in any deck that you're playing blue, probably. There might be some, like Urza, since you're not playing creatures or something like that.
But if you're in any kind of a Time Twister or Windfall strategy,
it's
I mean,
so good
Mono Blue even loves this thing.
And it's a creature for Tymna. This effect is already played on Smothering Tithe in the format.
Notion Thief in Tymna Crown decks is already like a huge
already there.
part of the format. This is just like an extra combo piece that you get that's part. I mean, I made a whole Wheels video that you edited.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like, this just fits right in there with everything.
I think Hull Breacher is just it's just so good. It's remarkably good. It's unfortunately good because it kind of takes away something that White had, which was Smothering Tithe. This is just like so much.
The thing.
This is miles better than Smothering Tithe. Yeah, dude. Miles.
Yeah, because you get this at flash.
It's 3 mana. It's flash right there. It's better. Not only do you get the same amount of treasures, there's no option for them to pay. You don't get the one for every turn, right?
That's
so the one
true,
for turn.
yeah.
But you just take the draw. It's Smothering Tithe.
That's
they
true,
still
and
get
they
it.
don't have to
With this,
pay.
they don't draw the card, and instead you get the treasure.
Yeah, that is true.
So the only thing that I just realized is a 3/2, not a 3/1.
This also does. That makes it even better then. Yeah. But this also does mean that this does have that kind of stacks effect on the board then, where like a lot of these cards, have these really awesome abilities in play, but a smart player isn't going to let those happen. I mean, we see that with Rhystic Study even, and with the other 1 mana enchantment that does that.
Mystic Remora.
Yeah, there's a lot of times
but
where
this
people
one has
just
flash.
completely play around it.
You're
going to get them one time. You do have the Alms Collector effect like that too.
But like the thing is, like,
this is 3 mana and it's in a much better color.
If you get them one time, they're dead. If they cast Wheel of Fortune and you resolve this into their Wheel of Fortune, everyone is so dead. No one draws. Everyone empties their hands, and you for free get to make a whole shitload of treasures.
So you just get to also play everything else then. You go to your turn, and then all the cards you drew, you get to play off the treasures.
Right, because you still get to draw the 7.
That's the thing, yeah, and then you get 21 treasures.
Right.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. Like
that is awesome.
I think this card is just so incredibly good. We don't need to ush about it more. You understand.
And you can get them in the borderless too.
And you can get them in the borderless. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Next 3 mana blue creature.
This
less
one
good.
we're not
less good
going
pirate.
to. We're not going to have to argue on what the name is this time.
Malcolm.
Malcolm,
Keen-Eyed Navigator is a 3 mana Siren Pirate, 2/2 with flying that says whenever one or more pirates you control deal damage to your opponents, you create a treasure token for each opponent dealt damage. So it's like a Tymna, except instead of drawing cards, you get to get a treasure.
Yeah.
And it has flying itself.
Which is kind of new.
Yeah.
No, not new. That ability's been around for a while.
Flying
Neat is what I meant to say.
Flying has been around for a bit.
For a little while.
I think Malcolm is just like a solid draw engine in the command. Not draw engine, mana engine.
And that's the thing. Like, again, this is another card that has token on it. Our eyes are going to go to it. And if you don't have a better blue partner to play, I think this one's totally fine.
Yeah, I think Malcolm would be great paired with Tymna, because Tymna, you already want to be attacking. So now when you're attacking with Tymna, you're getting a card and you're getting a mana. I think it's
that combination right there.
It's just like you're already prepared.
Who needs green?
I think it's very good in maybe like, I don't know, like a Chrom deck. I don't know if you wanted to be playing blue-red Chrom, but blue-red Chrom with Malcolm, and you're just playing like tempo flying creatures to
gets you a quicker Chrom in theory too.
There's the new card which we'll talk about in a second. I think it's pronounced Britches, but it looks like Breaches to me. I don't know.
Breaches.
But the Brazen Plunderer, it's a 4-mana. Well, you know what? Let's just talk about that now, because I think these two commanders are made for each other. Britches or Breaches, Brazen Plunderer, is a 4-mana, 3 and a red legendary creature goblin pirate with menace that says whenever one or more pirates you control deal damage to an opponent, deal damage, not combat damage.
Yep, deal damage.
Exile the top card of each of those opponents' libraries. You may play those cards this turn, and you may spend mana as though it were any color to cast the spells. It has partner.
I see why you think these are paired together, because it's a 3-mana and a 4-mana creature.
And they're both pirates that say whenever a pirate deals combat damage or deals damage to, you get a thing.
This is really great.
Curiosity effects?
Yeah.
There's a pinger. There's a pirate pinger. There's a pirate pinger that says whenever you cast a pirate or whenever it enters, you get to untap it, and it deals 1 damage to each opponent. That card plus a curiosity, and then you get to that card by itself. Ping each opponent, exile. We got something here. I think this is something.
We might have something here. Yeah,
I think
we might have to do a little bit of research to see if there is. But
pirates are no good, but there are definitely a couple cheap ones with flying. I know there's at least a handful of, and I know there are already deck lists going out with Malcolm and Breaches for CEDH. I haven't looked at many of them, but I'm sure they're all going to be playing similar cards. Curiosity, probably Glinthorn Buccaneer. That's a pirate.
There you go. That
wants
also
to do
combos
curiosity
with
stuff.
Curiosity. I forgot about that. That was
so
a pirate.
maybe Malcolm and Breaches Curiosity tempo, Curiosity control, something like that.
Yeah, you're in the good Curiosity colors there too.
Breaches gets you mana, Malcolm gets you treasures. No, sorry, Breaches gets you cards, Malcolm gets you mana. I think that's a good combo. They both have evasion.
I was literally just about to say that. The menace on Breaches. Yeah. I'm going to say Breaches.
You're going to say Breaches? It's probably
I'm
Breaches.
I'm going to say Breaches. Is just, the menace is just a nice touch that way you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get in at players. There are very few times that people are going to be in situations where they don't have someone that they can attack with a 3/3 menace.
Yeah. I think the only issue is these commanders are a little bit slow at 3 and 4 mana. I think the way that you play this game, though, is probably just like on turn 1s and 2, like ramp a little bit, but not a ton, and hold up like interaction, just be like kind of like mildly interacting with the board the first couple turns, and then try to start tempoing people out in the mid game with Malcolm and Breaches, and then maybe like win like later. I don't know if this is like a. Well, I think this is like a turn 6 or 7 deck maybe.
Yeah, because I guess the scenario is that you have a handful of a bunch of cheap spells, and then that way you do have ways to interact until you get to the point where you play Malcolm and then Breaches, and then at that point you do have few cards in hand, but
you get the cards back with Breaches.
Exactly.
And
so at that point you start to rebuild after you get rid of the cards in your hand from there.
But I think there's something there with one or both of these two cards.
Yeah.
The next card is definitely going to see play, because if you thought Hull Breacher was good, this card is probably better.
Jesus Christ. So this is Opposition Agent. This is, again, a 2 and a black, a 3-mana, 3/2 with flash.
Same as the Hull Breacher. I thought this was going to be a cycle of 5. I don't think that it was. I didn't
Incredibly disappointed about that, by the way.
I really wish that we would have seen the white one that would have been like, whenever an opponent gains life, you gain that life.
We can
instead.
talk about how we feel about everything at the end of that.
Opposition Agent. What's it do, Cameron?
So it's a flasher that has you control your opponents while they're searching their libraries.
What?
Right? What? That's already a sentence that I never thought they were going to print on a Magic card in black border. While an opponent... Yeah, we're not done. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find.
And by they find, it means you find,
yeah.
Because you control them.
You may play those exiled cards as long as they remained exiled. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them.
This is horrifying.
This is one of the most terrifying things I have laid my eyes on. Now, let's be clear. Again, this has that stacks effect situation where once it hits the battlefield, people are going to know that they're going to have to play around it. You can't just cast Imperial Seal into this fucker.
Right.
But
you can definitely get someone one time, and when you do, if it resolves, it'll probably shut them out of the game. Because what's most likely going to happen is, I don't know what's most likely to happen. I don't know, honestly. It could be a number of things. The first place my brain goes is you get that other elf thing that says that players can't search their libraries or whatever, can't draw cards. The one that says when players can't draw cards, and then whenever they would draw a card, they search their library instead. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Mirren.
Mirren.
Yes.
The first thing is if someone demonic tutors and you respond with opposition agent, and then you go get Mirren, and then on your turn you cast Mirren. That's really good. The second thing that happens is someone casts demonic tutor and you opposition agent, and you take their Thassa's Oracle, and now they don't really have a way to win anymore, and then you have a way to win.
Yeah.
The other thing is like, if they just fetch land and you Avid Mind Censor them, but super, and they have no shot of getting one in the top 4, and then you get to get a land.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, this card I think is really going to change the way how a lot of decks fundamentally need to be built, because a lot of decks, there are some, I would argue, like tier 1.5, tier 2 decks that don't really have a backup win condition. So when you're able to kind of steal that win condition out of their deck with even something like a Praetor's Grasp,
it can be devastating.
Exactly.
And this is worse.
This is so much better than Praetor's Grasp for the person. Exactly. So that means that, I mean, I certainly think this card is going to be much more prevalent than Praetor's Grasp, which is already a card that sees play in a decent amount of decks. So just by having more, it is going to force you to, rethink how your deck might be built, so that way you're able to be resilient in case something like this happens.
And more importantly, even than how your deck is built, but how you play your deck.
That's
if you are playing against an opponent that you think might have opposition agent, you cannot just shoot off demonic tutor blind anymore. Like, you have to wait until you have backup for it, which I think in itself slows the game down. Now, you can't you have 3 opponents and they're not always going to have opposition agent.
No.
But you can feel at the table. Sometimes if there's particularly left open 3 mana, I think you maybe don't cast demonic tutor. Like, you just play around. I think this is a card that you're gonna need to play around. Assume your opponents might have it and how you beat it if they do, because the effect is just so unbelievably devastating.
It is so devastating. Again, the flash on this is really what sets us apart from a lot of other stacks pieces. The being able to get people with this when they already have a spell that they can't take back is devastating.
And I think we have a little bit of a package now between Notion Thief, Hull Breacher, and Opposition Agent,
right?
With within the Opus Thief strategy. I think specifically Opus Thief because of Tymna. Maybe, I don't know, Kenrith is better. I don't know. I feel like getting these extra creatures that can deal damage with Tymna that also have huge crazy draw effects. I am very excited to play.
And I love that they're all
these cards.
Me too. I love that they're all so flavorful. One is a thief, one is a pirate, and one is a rogue. They're their own version of party put together with a human whatever.
Yeah, I think
whatever
Notion Thief is a rogue, though. Is a thief. A thief isn't a creature card type, but I understand what you're saying.
But this is an agent, so we can still pretend.
But I think that little package, the Opposition Agent, Notion Thief, and Hull Breacher, along with Tymna in wheel decks, that is a devastating core of a deck, I think.
Well, in a deck that, again, was already very powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Next one on our list, Arkelos?
Arkelos.
Lagoon Mystic is a 1 black, green, blue for a Turtle Shaman legendary creature that says, as long as Arkelos Lagoon Mystic is tapped, other permanents enter the battlefield tapped. As long as Arkelos is untapped, other permanents enter the battlefield untapped. And it's a 2/4.
Life is not a race. That's like Hermamora from the Skyrim shit.
I'm not sure if this card is CDH playable. If it were to be, I would think of it as a stacks commander.
Agreed. Yeah, because it itself is a stacks piece. I mean, you would purposefully put yourself in situations where Arkelos is consistently tapped on your opponent's turns
and untapped for you.
Exactly. And Amulet of Vigor has always been a combo piece.
Right.
I mean, it's too bad we can't play Primeval Titan, but I mean, this is still going to have really positive effects with bounce lands.
I think really good there.
Other mana rocks that normal decks can't really play because they come into play tapped.
And
you
it's
might
just
be able to get them.
All permanents enter the battlefield tapped. All of your opponents' mana rocks, their lands, their mana dorks, everything. Their Kiki-Jiki creatures. There's so many. There's Najeela tokens. Wait, that doesn't work because they're tapped and attacking already.
Well, you can't. Yeah, I guess that's true.
I'm not sure, but Arkelos, I think, shuts off a decent amount of win conditions, a couple, and it shuts off a lot of just strategies. It makes it ad nauseum becomes much more difficult when you can't chain your mana rocks together after you resolve it. So,
and it's a good color combination, and I think that's kind of what makes it a good CEDH commander. Again, we always say that if you're in blue-black, you're be
close
a CEDH
enough,
commander.
Basically.
And having green for ramp makes it even better.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
I also think that there's a lot better things you could be doing if you're going to be in this color combination. However, if you do want to be Stax,
if you want to be playing Sultai and Stax, this is the commander.
This is what you're going to do.
I think this is the commander. Maybe before it would have been like Tasigur or something. I think this is the commander that you go with now.
Now Tasigur can just stay at being a good commander. Obeka is next.
Obeka, Brute Chronologist. Nope. I'm a caveman.
Chronologist.
Chronologist, I think.
She's yeah.
I don't know how to read.
So chrono is Latin for time.
I thought it was like Chrono was like who's the king of monsters? Isn't like Kronos is like the monster of monsters?
In what?
Life, like the language.
What do you mean life?
Like
like
he
where?
was.
What does that mean in life?
Greek mythology.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Well, no, Chrono is always like time related. Like
that makes
like
sense.
Chronological order.
Yeah. Okay, I see where you're going with that.
So
Chronos was the first time.
There we go.
There it
time
is.
number 1.
It's an ogre wizard that says tap. Target player, excuse me, the player whose turn it is may end the turn. It's a 3/4.
What? The player whose turn it is may end the turn.
May end the turn.
This
card is insane. I think this is the CEDH commander of the set. I think this is the most single pushed commander besides, I'm not sure about the partners. And the main reason for that is when you're playing Obeka, you get to play a regular, very powerful Grixis deck, which I think in its own right can be the strongest deck in the format. Just Grixis ad nauseum, Demonic Consultation, Underworld Breach stuff. That's already, you're at the best. But when you play Obeka, you just get to play with 3 Time Walks. You get to play Last Chance, Warrior's Oath, and Final Fortune. With Obeka, instead of losing the game, you just end the turn right before you would lose the game, and you take an extra turn for only 2 mana. Not only that, but you can put it under an Isochron Scepter and take the rest of the turns.
Exactly. Your opponents can't do anything else then.
Not only that, you can have Underworld Breach out and end the turn before you have to sacrifice it and have an Underworld Breach on your opponent's turns.
This card just lets you do absolutely incredible things, and it's one of those cards
I love Kess so much,
oh
and
my
I
God,
just...
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's one of those cards that, like, the more things that they print that have at the end of turn...
This gets better
abilities,
and better.
This is just going to get better and better and better. And the fact that you have 3 Time Walks, we can't play Time Walk. We can't play Time Walk in this format. Time Walk would be so incredible in this format.
Yeah, exactly.
But and being able to have 3 of them is
2 mana
insane.
at that effect is... And if you think about Time Walk as doing so many things, but 1, it cantrips because you're taking an extra turn, so you draw the extra card. 2, it's a ritual because all the mana that you had tapped, you get it back again. So it's a ritual, and you get to cast Obeka. You get to do Obeka stuff again. I think it's not even the most fanciest of fancy, but you just get to play like Grixis, solid ad nauseum goodness, and then on top of that you sprinkle Isochron Scepter and 3 Time Walks, and then that's your deck. And I think it's so good.
No more do you have to wheel and then wait for your opponents to take their turn before you get to go again. You just get to do 5 mana wheels that let you play with the hand that you just drew.
Yeah, and this is obviously a great home for Opposition Agent and Hull Breacher and Notion Thief.
I mean, you're in the colors.
You get that package that goes right in here. Very, very good. I think this commander is going to do nothing but fantastic things. And I don't want to say it's a bummer, but like Kess and Inala are already both very good CEDH commanders, and now Grixis has a third that's like probably, in my mind, I think Kess and Inala are like tier 1. They're like the closest that we have to tier 1 that's not 5-color or partners commander. I think Kess and or Inala are probably close on that front. And I think Obeka is like just as good as those two. Maybe better? I'm not sure. Maybe better than... I don't know.
We're going to have to see how she ends up performing. I mean, she has a tremendous target on her back, and
100%.
She has to survive a turn cycle before she can do anything
else.
That's
true, yeah.
So you're going to have the same kind of Selvala problems that... She has.
Yeah, she's got a huge... Yeah, you're exactly right. She's a little slow, and she's got a huge target on her head.
But 4 mana is not... I mean, we see 4 mana for commanders very frequently. I mean, you're certainly going to be able to get her out way quicker than turn 4.
Right. You're normally probably playing her on turn 2, hopefully.
Turn 2, hopefully, yeah. So I think she's going to do really awesome things in the format. I think it's going to bring some really cool new card interactions.
Yeah.
And again, she's just going to get better in time.
And the fact that I just like that she makes those 3 cards just so unbelievably good.
You can play Opposition Agent, and Hull Breacher in this deck too. So, like, what's there to hate?
Rebek is the next one that we'll be talking about. I'm not sure how good Rebek is going to be.
I'm excited for Rebek.
Rebek, Architect of Ascension, is a 3 and white 4 total mana human artificer. It's a 3/4 that says artifacts you control have protection from each converted mana cost among artifacts you control, and it has partner. I think this card is really good.
I think this card is really good too. So I don't think that this is what we wanted in a white partner. I think that we would have loved 1,000 other things instead of this. I'm still very excited for Rebek because you're able to pair Rebek with Thrasios and have a Bant version of Thrasios that's out there.
I think Rebek will make a great partner with something like Thrasios in like a Stasios build or something that's trying to play Winter Orb effects where you're trying to stacks out the board and hold up a lot of protection and protect your stuff with Rebek. I'm not sure how good it will be. 4 mana is a lot for this effect, so it might be more of a casual effect, but protection from converted mana cost equal to the amount of artifacts you control. It's a lot of protection. I think that
it is a lot
helpful.
of protection, especially if you're able to spread out the converted mana cost.
The next card we're going to talk about is Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. This is a 4 mana, 3 and a blue legendary creature, human rogue with partner. It's a 3/1, and it says you may have Sakashima of 1,000 Faces enter the battlefield as a copy of another creature you control, except it has Sakashima's abilities. And Sakashima's ability is the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control.
As partner too.
I think this card is incredible. I think this goes with Tymna very well.
Very well.
I think it goes with a variety. Having a clone in your command zone, I just think is going to be really powerful, and specifically in Staxy decks. If you can play a Thalia and then you get to play a second Thalia, it's really good. If you can get to play an Archon of Emeria, and then Sakashima in your commander is a second Archon of Emeria, the second effective stacks piece is always so much more powerful than the first. 2 rule of law effects is devastating to almost any table, and I think Sakashima has the ability to be able to give you that in like 2 rule effects with things like Eidolon of
Rhetoric.
Eidolon of Rhetoric and stuff like that, where you can just make a copy of whatever extra stacks piece that you want, and also you can make it a copy of Tymna and then just get in with extra draws with Tymna.
That's so really many cards that you get to draw with that. Yeah, I mean, Clone has always been a powerful ability, and again, it's blue, so being able to add blue to a Tymna deck is
very good.
Exactly where you want to be.
The only thing that you can't do with this card is you can't copy your opponent's stuff, so just have that in mind. You're only copying your stuff, so if you're playing Sakashima, you probably want to be a little bit heavier on the creature build.
Which you wanted to be anyway if you are pairing it with Tymna.
Right, exactly.
I mean, there are certainly other things you could try to pair this with, but I really think Tymna is where this card is going to shine.
Yeah, I think I've seen some lists, some talk about Sakashima with Vial Smasher and like more like casual high power stuff, which I think would definitely be cool. Sakashima is just one like where if you like any partner with Commander, just play Sakashima, and then you have 2.
Yeah, exactly. Really good. It's great.
Next card we're going to talk about is Tormod, which, if I'm not mistaken, this is his first card.
This is his first
creature debut
in a card.
Tormod the Desecrator is a 3 and a black legendary creature zombie wizard that says whenever one or more cards leave your battlefield, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token, and it has partner. It's a 4/2.
This card is insane.
At first, I did not fully understand this card. It says whenever one or more cards leave the graveyard, not exiled. It could go from graveyard to battlefield, or graveyard to top of library, or graveyard to anywhere. You get a zombie. The reason why I think that is particularly good is because of one combo with Phyrexian Altar and Gravecrawler, or with a Bridge from Below in your graveyard. With these guys out, you can make infinite zombies by casting your Gravecrawler from your graveyard because you control a Tormod zombie, and then you sacrifice it to make a black mana, and then you make a 2/2, and then you cast it from your graveyard, and you repeat this process and make 1 billion 2/2s, and sack all of the 2/2s for a bunch of mana, and use Thrasios to draw your whole deck. So you get to play in Sultai.
That's perfect. You get to play in Sultai.
You get to play those cards plus a Sultai Consultation deck.
Exactly, yeah. And that's been a great deck since forever.
Since forever.
So, I mean, it's perfect in a home right there. It's 4 mana, so it's not really too much.
Yeah.
You do need to have Tormod out before you can start doing that combo.
So, really, it's a 4 mana for Tormod, and then 3 mana for the Phyrexian, and then 1 mana for the Gravecrawler. So that's 8 total mana, but you can split it up, right? Cast Tormod on one turn off of like a Mana Vault, and the next turn you can do it a couple different ways. I'm not sure if it's the most efficient win con, but I think it's something. There's a pretty easy combo, and there's probably some other things that you could do that would get me. Deathrite Shaman is really good with Tormod. I mean, not really good, but like extra free value good.
Yeah, exactly.
So there might be other, nice fun things that you can find. I don't know.
If you just like are able to exile everyone's graveyard, like you minus Ashiok, and then everyone's graveyard's exiles, you get a bunch of tokens
they leave
that
your
way.
graveyard. It's leave your graveyard.
Oh, it's your graveyard. Okay, never mind.
But
so
you can play something
Ashiok.
like a Scavenging Ooze and exile like a mana dork out of your graveyard.
That's also true. Yeah,
that's probably not very good in CDH, to be honest. But there is a combo there, and you can get infinite mana and pair them with Thrasios and have a win there. And if you want to play with Gravecrawler, if you're like Gravecrawler is my card, but I want to play CDH, we got a deck for you. Next card, I'm not really sure what Yurlok is going to be doing, but Yurlok of the Scorch Thrash is a Jund commander, 1 black, red, and a green for a legendary creature, Viashino Shaman. It has Vigilance and says a player losing unspent mana causes that player to lose that much life.
Mana burn.
It has mana burn.
It has mana burn.
It brings mana burn back into the game.
That's what Magic was missing.
Super cool. And it also has an ability. It doesn't have partner, but it does have an ability that says 1 and tap it. Each player adds Jund, a black, a red, and a green. And it's a 4/4. The Vigilance and then getting to attack and then tapping for that ability. That's cool.
It's great. It's mana in the command zone, technically.
There are a couple of, I'm not exactly sure what the combos are, but with Umbra Elemental and tapping and untapping that you can go infinite with Yurlok. I don't know how efficient they are, and it's obviously pretty bad when you give infinite mana to your opponents. But if you're not in a Thrasios meta and you do this like in someone's upkeep when they don't have a way to take use of the mana and then they'll die because the mana will leave their mana pool, maybe? I don't think so. Korvold's probably better in Jund, but maybe.
I think so, too. I think this was a really good attempt at a CEDH Jund commander.
Maybe you're doing Staxy stuff?
In addition. Yeah, and that could be really good, too, because, I mean, you do need to, again, go a full turn cycle before you're able to go off with it, since it is a tap ability, but
I don't know if it's very good, but I'm looking at it. I think there's some ways to go infinite with it. It's interesting. And maybe if you want to be slow Jund, like if you want to play Jund, but you maybe want to play Toxic Deluge, like you don't do that in Korvold, but maybe you can do that in Yurlok and do some type of controlling.
I think it's really cool that they were able to still make a lot of these commanders feel like casual commanders while still being like this kind of competitively playable. Like bringing Mana Burn back is such a casual thing.
Right.
Ending players' turns.
Yeah, super casual. But if you turn it up to 11, I think it's really, really good.
Exactly. Yeah. This next one,
we're going to talk about 2 at the same time here. Yeah. Coercive Recruiter, which is it's Courser Recruiter and Port Raiser. Both of these cards are in here for the exact same reason. They combo with Kiki-Jiki. Courser Recruiter is a 4 and a red for an Orc Pirate that says whenever a Courser Recruiter or another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature until end of turn. It gains haste and it becomes a pirate in addition to its other types.
Sound familiar? That's exactly with the addition of a pirate clause,
Zealous Conscripts. The only thing is this also triggers off of the next pirate that comes in, which is pretty good. But Coercive Recruiter, it combos with Kiki-Jiki and has extra if you're playing that Malcolm blue-red pirates deck and you put a Kiki-Jiki in there and you play this card and maybe you're doing, I don't know, probably not.
That's something else you could do. I mean, there's already a lot of decks that do play Kiki-Jiki
already. Yeah, if you're in blue-red, you can find a whole bunch of other things that Kiki
So it's just going to sneak right in there.
And then the other one, Port Raiser, is 3 red and a red for another Orc Pirate. This is kind of strange. I don't know why both of these cards are in this set. They're like almost the same thing, but they're not exactly, or not even really at all in effect. But when Port Raiser deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there is an additional combat phase. Port Raiser can attack a player it has already attacked this turn. You may be saying, how does this combo with Kiki? Because it can't attack. Well, it can't, but the token that it makes, that token's new, and that token doesn't care. And then this guy goes that way, and 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 then you kill everyone because the tokens are fresh.
It is sad that all of these cards that combo with Kiki-Jiki are also 5 mana.
Yeah.
And so 5 mana tribal is what you can really play. But it is important to know that these combos are still out there. These are other options that you can play. And I think that just having more infinite combos
with Kiki,
in mono red even like just
red,
makes like a lot of this stuff just makes Godo even a better commander to play
maybe
because you don't have to be so freaking one note all the time.
Yeah, you maybe have a backup option.
Exactly. You have a backup option that isn't just, kill. I mean, it's still very creature heavy and it's still just kill the creature, but I mean, it's not as predictable.
Maybe you start playing Kiki-Jiki as the commander. Maybe
That's
just like
we're getting close.
We're
to
getting
that
there,
point where
right?
Kiki is just the commander, and it's going to get incredibly easy to cast Kiki-Jiki from your command zone if that's the case.
How many mono red ones do we have right now? Is it these two and Zealous Conscripts? Is there another mono red one?
That is the mono red one.
Okay, so that's already 3 combo pieces with Kiki. That's 10 mana. But I mean, Godo is 11 mana, right?
That's the thing, yeah. And
but Godo finds the thing. That's the issue. Godo is a 1 card.
You can even, I mean, if you already have Kiki out, you can even play like conspicuous Snoop combos in that deck too. So like there is still a lot of other stuff that can go on, even just besides this. So then even then, Kiki-Jiki isn't such a one-note commander then.
The next one we're going to talk about is Nimris, Una's Trickster, which I think is probably better than Una. It's a 5 mana, 3 blue and a black for a legendary creature Fairy Knight. It has flash, flying, and says whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the other into your graveyard. It's a 1/6.
This card is incredibly exciting and incredibly disappointing at the same time.
Yeah.
So
5 mana is a lot.
I love this effect.
Yeah.
Being paid off for casting spells, casting counter spells, and being able to not just put it back in your hand, but having like card selection to be able to
it's like
refill your hand.
Rashmi or Vile Smasher with a curiosity effect on it. Either of those things, except you're just in blue-black. It's just 5 mana.
It's 5 mana, which is very upsetting. And the body, a 1/6. So bizarre.
I wish it had 2 power so that it could trade with Tymna and Najeela. You could like flash it in and stop those guys.
It is a big blocker, but like blocking is not necessarily what I'd want. It's a flyer. Yeah. Like I'd rather get in for damage with something like this.
If you want to play blue-black consultation, whatever, Nimris is I think an option, right? But I don't think it's doing anything extra special. But the card advantage potential is there, so I thought it was worth at least including.
I definitely think this is something that I might play around with.
I mean, high power, maybe.
That's the thing.
And like an 8, this is like a great 8 commander.
Yeah, because the thing, like a lot of the other blue-black Scepter decks are playing off of the win condition in the command zone.
Yeah.
But there's not really a blue-black Scepter deck that has a
good card advantage.
A good card advantage in the command zone there.
Sig a little bit, but it's not
a little bit. But
not
Sig's not always Sig's
good.
more like consultation-y a lot of the times.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you can still do that in Nimris too.
You're definitely doing consultation in Nimris.
You're definitely doing that too. But what's nice is that Scepter doesn't require the win condition to be in your command zone. If you do like copy artifact shenanigans, like you can still win off of something like that, and then you can leave up your command zone for extra card advantage. Again, it's incredibly expensive, and it's certainly not optimal.
I probably wouldn't. I'm not looking to do infinite mana if I don't have an outlet in the command zone. Once it gets the combo becomes 3 pieces or more, it's just too many pieces.
Oh, it certainly is better for it to be in the command zone.
I think if you want to play blue-black, but you don't want to play that combo like Icecrown and Scepter for whatever reason, you want to like play things that are good against it or something like that, and you still want to play blue-black consultation, I think Nimris is like the best card advantage blue-black commander. 5 mana is just a lot. But moving on, let's talk about a weird one. Wheel of Misfortune. I have read this card 700 times, and my brain is too small and smooth to figure out what it is. It is a 2 and a red for sorcery. This is the first sorcery, I think. Is this the first sorcery? The first actual spell, like we're talking about, besides a creature?
We've talked about a lot of creatures.
And almost all of them have been commanders.
Which is, that is the direction that they want the game to go.
Each player secretly chooses a number, 0 or greater. Okay, I'm glad it says 0 or greater, because we were talking about what if you name a negative number?
Yeah, that just makes it weird.
Okay, 0 or greater. Then all players reveal those numbers simultaneously and determine the highest and lowest numbers revealed this way. Wheel of Misfortune deals damage equal to the highest number to each player who chose that number. Each player who didn't choose the lowest number discards their hand, then draws 7. Let's read that again. I'm going to read that again just for me. Wheel of Misfortune deals damage equal to the highest number to each player
who chose that number. So if 2 players choose 10 and that's the highest number, those 2 players take 10 damage.
Each player who didn't choose the lowest number discards their hand and draws 7. So if you chose 10 and it wasn't the lowest number, you take 10, but you draw 7 cards.
Exactly. If someone chose 1, that person does not draw.
So when you're casting Wheel of Fortune, you want to name a high number, right?
You want to name. This is not Wheel of Fortune. This
Wheel
is
of Misfortune.
Yeah.
When
you want to name. Well, no. You really want to name a middle of the road number that's not going to be the highest and not going to be the lowest.
Because if it's the highest, you're going to take that damage.
So you can't name like 39.
Don't name 39.
You can't name 39. However, it gets interesting.
Unless you want to guarantee that you'll draw 7 and you don't care if you'll go to 1.
Ad nauseum is huge. You don't want to name 20 in the hopes to get this off. And
Right.
then like you draw ad nauseum and you're like, all right, well, there's my 5-minute draw 3.
As an opponent, you want to be naming...
I think it depends because
everyone is trying to name the middle of the road number, right?
That's for the most part.
There's
a lot of times.
So I have to say this in my head. So if you guess the highest number, you lose that much life. If you guess the lowest number, you don't draw cards.
Correct.
But if you guess the highest number, you can still draw cards. If you guess the lowest number, you won't lose life, but you won't draw cards.
Correct. So I think what's going to happen a lot is that a lot of people are going to try to name middle of the road numbers.
So what's a middle of the road number? You're going to be at like 35, let's say, when you cast this.
I think 5 might even be a middle of the road
5
number.
is
because
middle
there's
number?
a lot of times where I'm choosing 1 because I don't want to wheel. I love my hand. My hand has the combo in hand. I don't want to get another.
That's true.
Like there's a lot of times where someone casts a wheel and I'm like, I really don't want this to happen, and I don't care if it's just for me. I still want to keep the cards in my hand.
So if you don't want to wheel,
you can set yourself up.
You just say
you don't wheel.
Guess 0.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, you can choose 0.
If you don't wheel, you just press 0.
You don't wheel, and then like you're out of this. It's everyone else that's wheeling. I mean, am I wrong?
I think so.
That's
right?
what this says. Is that you can set that up so that way you don't have to deal with a wheel that would not be in your favor. Now, the people that really want the wheel to go off is...
Wait, each player who didn't choose the lowest number discards their hand, then draw 7. Each player who didn't choose the lowest number.
So if you choose 0 and... If you choose 0, no matter what, 0 is going to be the lowest number. So even if 2 people choose 0... Because that's the thing, it's an each player situation. So if 2 people name 0, they both won't wheel. And everyone else.
So each player who didn't choose the lowest number discards their hand and draws 7. So if you did choose the lowest number, you don't discard your hand.
Correct.
And draw 7.
So you don't have to wheel.
Right.
But if you want to wheel,
so this Wheel of Misfortune is really better if you want to wheel, right? If you're casting it, you want to wheel, and better. It's just a confusing card.
This card, I don't even know if it's that good.
I think it is, though.
But you have to play like a lot of weird mind games with people, and I don't always think that they're going to pay off, because there may be times where like you are the one that like picks even something like 10, and then 10's the most, and then you have to take 10 damage to wheel. That's so much worse than wheel and Time Twister and Windfall, which is already 3 effects of the same kind in a deck.
And it is also scary when your opponents don't wheel. They probably have interaction or a win con.
Exactly. So you're like, well, this sucks. I better draw into some kind of interaction. And a lot of times people do. I talk about value wheels all the time.
Don't do that anymore.
This is not a value wheel.
You cannot cast value wheels.
This is specifically a combo card. I don't care what the hell you do in casual. When you're in CEDH, this is
wheels are a combo card.
Yeah, this is a combo card. Now you can do value wheels in CEDH, but
if they're turn 1, maybe.
But that's with an actual Wheel of Fortune, or with a Windfall, or with a Time Twister.
Yeah, you have to be able to break parity with it. So if you like dump a bunch of mana rocks into a turn 1 or maybe turn 2 Wheel of Fortune, that can be good. But like just like firing off a turn 3 or 4 Wheel of Fortune will certainly lose you the game. Now more than ever. Before you probably shouldn't have done that because of Notion Thief. Now because of Hull Breacher and Notion Thief,
too, you
cannot blind wheel it.
So
I think it's just too dangerous.
Just the existence of those 2 cards now makes this card even worse than 2.
Yeah.
Because now if we do want to worry so much about those 2 creatures in particular, those just shut this off, and those 2 creatures we can imagine are going to be very prevalent.
Yeah, because if you Wheel of Fortune and you guess like you're like, I really need to draw 7 here, I'm gonna guess like a high number. So I'm gonna guess like 5, or I'm gonna guess 10 or something to make sure that I get it. And then after that, because wait a minute, they would flash the Notion Thief before you guess the number.
That's true, but then that still effectively countered your spell.
Right, so then
so that still
so
effectively...
So an opponent's Notion Thief isn't as devastating to a Wheel of Misfortune. You'll just everyone choose 0 and then just draw 0, and then it does nothing.
But it still kind of counters that card. The other thing is that you can't do the combos with Underworld Breach with this the way that you can with a regular Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, that's true. Because
I mean, it's obvious they couldn't just print Wheel of Fortune again, as much as I wish that they would. so it is fun to have like another version of it, but I don't think that this card is going to be necessarily
think so?
super impactful.
I still feel like I'm too stupid to fully understand this card. I feel like we're gonna talk about this. And I'm gonna play it against someone, and then I'm gonna guess my little number. I'm so smart. Me and Cameron talked about this. And I'm gonna give it to them, and then I'm gonna take 10 and draw no cards and go, what the heck happened?
Well, that's the other thing too. Like I could just be putting myself in the trap that like I'm always gonna like put 5 or something like that, and then I'm never gonna be able to get to draw because everyone else is like naming 10. But at the same time, like if you're playing an ad nauseum deck, you don't want to name super high numbers just in case people don't.
And one of the good things I think about this card is if you are smart and you're out there and you're listening to this card, you have a huge advantage when playing this card because you understand it much better than anyone else is going to see it. If they don't understand it, they're definitely going to guess the wrong thing. So I think just if you understand this card, if you're playing it, then you probably understand it. I think you gain a huge advantage just because it's confusing.
That's also very true.
The next card, we're almost at the end of our list here, but the next card we're talking about is a Planeswalker from the set, one that I think is going to probably change everything most of all.
Yeah.
Jeska, Thrice Reborn.
Oh boy, she has so many words on her.
She is a 2 and a red, 3 total mana for a legendary Planeswalker, Jeska. Jeska, Thrice Reborn, enters the battlefield with a loyalty counter on it for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. She has a 0 ability that says choose target creature until your next turn. If that creature would deal damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage instead. What the fuck? Okay, whatever. Next ability is a -X ability. Jeska deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. And she comes in with 0 loyalty, except she gains 1 for each time a commander has been cast. And if she's your commander, that's 1 time, so she'll come in with 1.
Exactly. She also has partner.
She is oh yeah, that's the big one.
That's why we're talking about her.
She's got partner, and she is an outlet. So if you have infinite mana, you can cast your commander, Jeska, and have her deal 1 damage to something, and then she'll die. And then you cast her again because you have infinite mana, and then she'll deal 2 damage to something, and then she'll die. And then you cast her again, and then 3 damage, and then 4 damage, and then you kill the whole table.
Holy cow.
So Jeska does a lot. The big things for me that I think it does is, 1, it allows for Grixis Scepter combo, which we kind of already talked about. Obeka does that also in a different way, but either way,
this gives you the outlet in the command zone.
Actual death in the command zone. Actual death. Not just infinite turns. Nope. Actual kill them
Actual death.
Which is relevant and different. Jeska also makes Tymna now be able to do something in infinite mana. If you can get a Dockside Loop in a Tymna deck that's Mardu colors, your Mad Farm lists, now you have Jeska, I think, as better than Bruise, probably.
100% better than Bruise.
And I think there's even an argument, and this is the main thing, now that we're talking about Jeska, we can talk about Rograk and Jeska, because I think both of these red commanders can both go in your Turbo Ad Nauseam deck as your second partner from either Tymna or maybe Icar, or probably not, but probably Tymna. Or maybe Silas, if you want to do Grixis Ad Naus.
Yeah.
Silas is a commander that I've been seeing in a lot more talk about because there's so many partners. Silas was always like close to good, but never exactly there.
That's the thing. Like, his text does have some very relevant things on it. There are a lot of, like, as I've been looking at lists, like Lotus Petal gets so much better with Silas.
And it has Death Touch, so it can normally get in. But this gives you an infinite mana outlet in the command zone paired with any partner that you want. I think that is just such a crazy high ceiling.
Yeah.
But the main things that you can do with this are Turbo Ad Nauseam. You have an outlet that's not Thrasios in the command zone. Or Kenrith.
It is
another option.
Yeah, exactly. It's another option. And it's damage. So it doesn't even have to be like, oh, I have to draw my deck and then I still have to find something. It's just, no, I can just kill everybody right now.
No, if someone opposition agents you, your win condition is the Jeska. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that's your actual. Besides, I mean, I suppose they could take whatever you need to make infinite mana, but hopefully you could have a couple different ways to make infinite mana.
That's the thing, yeah. Because, I mean, at that point, then you should also probably have something in case someone has a Drenith Magistrate. But
and I think...
could sit here and talk about silver bullets all day.
I think the most interesting thing that Jeska and a lot of these partners do is they make the metagame, at least in my head... there's so many options now. And now I'm not sure. It might just be 4 colors are just better than 3, and like all of this is for naught, and all of these like commanders that are like close and Jeska, it doesn't matter because you're not playing 4 colors or 5 colors, or maybe it's stupid. But it feels like there's so many different ways that you can build very similar decks. So I'm so interested in seeing which direction they go to. I am very confident that there are at least 5 different ways to build Grixis right now, and they're all equally good.
So much good Grixis stuff right now. And
same with Mardu.
Jeska into it.
I think adding 2 red commanders that compare with Tymna means that Mardu has a lot more options to go in a bunch of different ways.
Mardu was a very small portion of the format. Where, like, you did have the Bruise Tymna decks, and like that was it. Like, Mardu has just had terrible commanders otherwise.
With Red getting so much better, I think Mardu becomes a lot more of an option because you have some interaction in Red, you have some interaction in White, you have some in Black. None of it's blue, but you have some in all the colors.
That's
now.
the thing.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot more options, and I think Jessica is going to just make a ton more options. I'm super excited to see this card in play.
Yeah.
And what's also nice is if you're playing an artifact strategy, you can actually kill a collector oof once in a while with Jessica.
That is
true. So it has some utility.
It is very nice.
Ping off some stacks pieces that are frustrating or something like that. It's not the best. I mean, Crom is probably just better in the command zone.
But like she kills Tymna like a lot of the times. She can kill Tymna like after you've cast her, or if you cast like your other partner and then cast Jessica, she can kill Tymna like right on her own. And down the line, like she can kill bigger things too.
Yeah, the main things that I think you're going to be pairing with Jessica are Silas or Tymna, or maybe you're doing Rog with Jessica in a mono red list. I know that you can do Dockside Extortionist with the 3-mana artifact that lets you bounce a creature.
Cloudstone
Curio, and since you have a 0-mana creature in your command zone, you can cast that and bounce a Dockside Extortionist, and as long as your Dockside can make 3 or more treasures, cast Dockside again, and then you can bounce your commander, and then you cast a commander, and you bounce Dockside, and you make treasures, and you go infinite, and Jessica's in your command zone, so you can everyone to death in mono red. That's pretty cool. There's a Dockside loop for infinite mana and infinite death in mono red. Not
but
Godo.
You have to pay command tax all the time.
No, because you just bounce it to your hand.
Oh, you're not putting it to your hand. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's not going to the command zone. If you're doing the combo and you put it in the
don't put it in the command zone. Put it in your hand.
You messed up. Thank God you had infinite mana.
And yeah, so I just think, and red just seems like it's getting so many more new things. As I go back on this list, a decent amount of these cards are mono red cards, which is kind of interesting. And one of the last spells, the last actual sorcery we're going to talk about, is Jessica's Will.
Yes.
Which I think is the most powerful of this cycle of if you can control your commander, do both options. The other spells, they seem great for casual, I think, but I don't think we're going to see them much in this format. Yep, I don't think we're gonna.
Yep.
But what this one does says you may, for 3 mana, it's a sorcery, 2 in a red, choose one. If you control your commander, as you cast this spell, you may choose both. So I think like if you cast Jessica's Will and they kill your commander, you can still choose both. I'm pretty sure because it was as you cast it.
Yes, as you cast it. Yeah,
could be relevant. The first one is add.
No, it's not as you cast it. It would look as it's going to resolve.
So maybe if they kill your commander in response to Jessica's Will, you only get one of them.
You only get one of them. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's how that would work.
The first ability is add red mana for each card in target opponent's hand. And the second ability is exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. I think this is an incredible mana for 3, incredible ritual for 3 mana.
I think so too.
Most often, this is going to be Seething Song for 7 mana instead of 5 because you're gonna out of your opponents, all of them are not gonna have 7 cards in their hand, but one of them will probably have 7 cards in their hand.
Yeah.
If you're playing CDH, 2 of them will have 1 card. Someone's gonna have 2 cards. Someone's gonna have 4 cards. Someone's gonna have 7 cards.
Yeah,
it's just how it's gonna be. Jessica's normally going to make 6 to 7. It's going to be another Seething Song that makes more, with the added bonus of sometime being able to kind of draw you 3 cards, probably. I just think this card
is nice. I mean, especially because if you are trying to storm, like sometimes you got to have a little bit of extra fuel and being able to get extra fuel for, because you only need them for that one turn anyway.
Right. If you're doing storm stuff, if you're doing Underworld Breach stuff, or Ad Nauseam stuff, or if you're trying to make a whole bunch of mana, cast a whole bunch of spells, get through your deck, I think Jessica's Will. If you're trying to be proactive and you're in mainly red, Jessica's Will I think is great. Godo loves this card, man.
Oh my god.
Godo,
just another thing for Godo
is very, very good.
Wow, Godo got a lot of upgrades.
Speaking of upgrades for Godo, let's talk about a card that is literally Black Lotus in that deck. Jeweled Lotus. I don't understand how this card, I mean, all right, it's Jeweled Lotus is a 0 mana artifact that has a tap ability that you can sacrifice it and add 3 mana of any one color. Sound familiar? Spend this mana only to cast Commander. Okay, we can wind it back. They printed a Black Lotus in our format. But only sometimes. Only for some commanders. In some decks, this card will do nothing and it will not be in the list. But in some decks, this card is literally Black Lotus.
Exactly.
If you're playing Godo or Najeela or Gitrog or any deck that wants to play its commander in the first or second turn as soon as possible, and that's the whole goal, Yisan.
Vannifar.
Vannifar. Jeweled Lotus is, I think, very, very good. I think, and even, I think the thing that I forget is like Jeweled Lotus is also good if it taps for 2 mana. And I even think, for 1 mana.
I think Jeweled Lotus is perfect if it taps for 1 minute, even because like that's still a Lotus Petal. There's still a lot of decks that will play Lotus Petal.
So,
and Lotus Petal for your commander is still going to be insane.
We were talking about this a little bit before the show, but Silas is the commander that I think benefits from Jewel Lotus a ton, because this gives you a turn 1 Silas. You play an island, and you play this for Cracker for 3 black, and you just use 2 of it. Who cares? You cast your Silas.
Yeah.
But what's great is your next turn, you get to attack someone. You get to use Silas' ability to get the Lotus back.
And then who cares? It doesn't matter what your other partner is, because you can just cast it off of that.
Yeah, so sacrifice it if you're playing Jessica with your Silas, which you probably might be because it's an outland, Grixis or whatever. Cast that, cast your Jessica.
Which comes in for 2 counters at that
2
point.
loyalty. So now on your second turn in this Dream Christmas land that you have a turn 1 land, Lotus, Jewel Lotus. That's all you need. Land, Jewel Lotus, and you get to have a turn 1 Silas and turn 2 Jessica, and the Jessica comes in with 2 loyalty that can ping off 2 mana dorks because you can divide the damage.
Or someone's turn 1 artifact hate card that they played on you.
Or someone's Najeela, or someone's Tymna, or anything like that. And then if someone plays something else that you don't like on the following turn, you can buy back the Jewel Lotus again and cast Jessica again. You have to pay 2 mana extra this time, but you're paying 2 mana at all because Jewel Lotus is free.
That's the thing. This card has sparked up a lot of controversy. There are a lot of people that do not think this card is going to be as powerful as it is. That's because you have not heard them talk on a CEDH channel quite yet. This card is going to have absolutely a ton more implications in our format than the casual side of things. A lot of times the casual side of things, yeah, you are casting your commander like twice.
I don't think this is great in casual. I probably wouldn't play this in
most
of my
it's 100%
decks.
going in Maelstrom Wanderer, though. 100% going on in that.
Yeah, in some casual decks, it's great in.
But at the same time, though, like a lot of these decks that we play only want to cast their commander once, and then they win the game off of that.
If you think about a
being
normal
able to power it out super quickly just allows you to most of the time win the game a lot faster than you were originally planning on.
If you think about a CDH, a normal game is going to last somewhere between like 3 and 6 turns, normally closer to 3, and probably if you're playing Jewel Lotus, probably closer to 3, right? It's a third of your turns, Jewel Lotus is going to be on. If you want to cast your commander in the first 3 turns of the game, which you do, which is like all the turns in the game, Jewel Lotus is always going to be. I don't think this card will ever be bad. In the decks that it's not good in, you're just not going to play it. In the decks that it is good in, it's insane. It's so incredibly good.
And even in the decks where it's good in the worst case scenario, it's just paying for your extra command tax for when Thrasios dies like 1,000 times.
This casts a turn 1 Tymna. If your commander is 3 or 4 mana and 2
in
colors,
2 colors, you're in good shape.
You can Lotus it out on turn 1. If it's 5 mana on turn 2, so Gitrog and Crom, you can cast them on turn 2.
If it's just a 3 mana 1 color creature,
no.
Again, we talked about
Najeela loves this. I think
colors.
This is like just so good in Najeela. Turn 1 Najeela is like how you win with Najeela. If you can like land
still
a turn 1 Najeela,
Imperial Seal after you turn 1 Najeela.
Right? Yeah, you can like play a land and hold up Spell Pierce and cast a Jewel Lotus and sack that for Najeela and still hold up counter for
protection in that scenario. Yeah, no, this card I think is really going to also change the speed of the format. I think that we're going to see this in a lot of decks that are already very prominent in the format too, and I think that this also bumps up a lot of decks that weren't. Grand Arbiter.
Yeah.
Maybe like a turn 2 Grand Arbiter. A turn 1 Grand Arbiter is a lot different than a turn 2 and a turn 3 Grand Arbiter. Like there's just so many great implications for this card, and the decks that are able to buy it back, like Silas and Silas, like you're going to be able to get extra value off of this, and it's really going to allow you to win games that you wouldn't be able to as quickly.
It puts you 3 turns ahead. For 0 mana, it puts you 3 turns ahead. I think, and I like the direction that Jewel Lotus is going for Commander. I think some people may not. I think this is a great direction, at least as a CDH player looking at Jewel Lotus, because this, number 1, pushes you to build more geared around your Commander, which I think is the fun part of Commander.
Yeah.
But as a CDH player, you tend to sometimes forget the Commander and just build a better 99 and find the best Commander that fits the best 99 strategy, which is normally the correct thing to do. But I like cards that push you to build into your Commander because it makes the decks a little bit more unique. And I know that sounds strange because Jewel Lotus going in a whole bunch of decks doesn't seem like it make it unique, but it does spread it out, because right now, from my opinion, the best decks in the format are 4-color partner decks.
Agreed.
And I think Jewel Lotus is probably worse in those decks. You can still maybe play it, but it's probably worse in those decks, and it's much better in 1 to 2 color decks and Najeela.
Yeah, but that certainly changes the scope of the format, so that it takes people off of these, partner decks that, this card is not super great in, and pushes people into these decks that we don't necessarily see so much.
And you get to feel like you're casting a fucking Black Lotus.
Right?
It is the same rate. That's so fun. You get to cast a Black Lotus. I'm going to say Black Lotus every time I cast a spell. I don't care what it's called. I'm casting Black Lotus.
Especially if you're going to cast it to play the commander,
yeah,
too.
especially.
I mean, it's nuts. And what I really like about this is that it's not even it shows that they're printing cards for CEDH.
100%.
Nobody in casual plays 0 mana rocks.
Yeah,
nobody. That's like a big thing, right? Isn't it like nobody plays?
They're gonna play this one though. I mean, the casual.
But that to me, this goes against the casual.
I think so too.
Where, you're supposed to power out with your lands and you can play signets because but no one is going turn 1, Mox Diamond in a casual game.
Yeah.
So this just shows that there's a lot of stuff that I just think they have their eye on.
I think it's balanced. I don't think this card is going to wreck the format. I think it changes a lot of things. Makes Najeela. It makes decks like Najeela or decks that would benefit on this. It makes it a much more high percentage that those decks will do very well. But I think that's okay. And I see a lot of this talk of non-games.
Non-games don't really happen so much because
what the fuck is a non-game? You're playing the game. If your opponent does something really good, why do you tell yourself it's not a game? It's still a game. You just lost. You're not doing well. It's okay. Play another one.
Exactly. Shuffle up again.
The whole idea of it's a non-game if one player gets to do their thing so much on turn 1 and 2 and then I don't get to do my thing. Man, it's all about me. It's not about you. It's a total full game.
There's 4 people that are a part of
whether
this.
You got to do your shit or not doesn't make it a non-game.
There's going to be times where you get to do your shit that no one else is going to be. I had someone very recently turn 1 wheel me, and then he was on the play, and then the 2 other people I was playing with had no lands.
Yeah.
So I was the only other player that was able to do.
But
stuff,
it's still a game. That's the puzzle. That game is just different.
Hilarious, right?
Yeah, the whole idea of it's only a game if I play the right amount of spells and the spells that make me happy. That's what makes it a game. That's not the game.
No, because then what happens is you get to play more games.
Just play another game.
You just get to play more games.
It doesn't make non-games. It makes interesting games. It makes memorable games. When your opponent gets to cast a fucking Black Lotus and they cast their commander right away. That's cool.
I lost that game so hard, but I'm never going to forget that moment. That was great. This card is going to have those same kind of effects where someone is going to have these absolutely nut starts with turn 1 Brago, and then they're going to be able to just
and then you get to watch them do nutsy stuff with their turn 1 Brago, which is cool. As a Magic player, for me, that's interesting, watching Magic cards do good stuff.
Yeah, even turn 1 Brago isn't insane.
Right,
but,
because you have to have other stuff with it.
Yeah, but it's still okay, great. No one had a 1-mana counterspell that was up for it. That's fantastic, and now you don't really have to worry about it. Your Brago's out there already.
If your opponents are getting salty because you are doing good stuff, I think you need to find new opponents. Is what I'm saying. If your opponents are the type to get salty because it was a non-game, it's a game, whether you want it to be or not. Yeah. Sorry about that little rant. But we're basically at the end of the spoiler. There are a couple more cards that I want to talk about quick. One is the land cycle. Rejuvenating Springs, whatever. There's a whole bunch of other ones.
They're actually really good though. You should actively play these in decks.
Yeah, the Battle Bond lands. I think they're very good. I think they are particularly good if you're playing Tainted Pact because they let you do a more singleton mana base without having to play some bad lands. And they are good the fewer colors you get. In 2-color decks, they're incredible. If you're playing 2 colors, you obviously play this one.
This was Training Center specifically.
If you're playing 4 and 5-color decks, you have enough duels and fetches that I don't think you need or want to dip into these because the fetches are just so good in 5 colors. You need it so much more. But if you're playing 2 or 3 colors or Tainted Pact, these lands are all fantastic. And the last land that I wanted to talk about is War Room.
This one's cool.
I think this is a great card for monocolor decks, even in CEDH. War Room is a land that taps for colorless, or it can tap. And 3, you may tap it to pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity and draw a card. Now, I don't say that it goes in monocolor decks because of the life loss. It doesn't matter. You can lose 1 or 5 life is the same. But the fact that you're playing a land that is a colorless land you can't do that in 2-color. I don't think.
I don't think
in 1-color, I think
either.
you have room for 5 cards.
Hello, Urza. This is an auto included.
Just put in Urza,
that. I mean, pretty much any
Urza probably doesn't need it, but Urza could use it.
It's just
Godo, I think it's great in, right? Because Godo, you have extra mana mana a bunch because you're just like waiting around because you have a bunch of extra mana.
Because you can't cast Godo again.
Yeah, so you're just like dumping into War Room. I guess I'll try to find stuff. War Room's great. And we didn't really even talk about Godo with the Jewel Lotus because Jewel Lotus was made for Godo. Godo has gotten so many, between War Room and specifically Jeska and Jewel Lotus, between Jeska's Will and Jewel Lotus, Jeska's Will being a huge ritual and Lotus being a huge ritual for a deck that only wants to get to 11 mana, Godo, we need to play Godo on the channel soon because Godo, I feel like, got so many toys.
Yeah, Godo's going to be a whole new kind of monster now. Oh,
but
so
yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. We probably missed a bunch of cards. These are the cards that stood out most to me at first glance. What did I miss? Let us know. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to know. There's a whole, like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I'm probably not seeing because I just saw the final spoiler today. So there's a lot to this set. There's a lot of good stuff, and there's probably a lot of hidden treasures that we're going to be finding out as the months go on.
Exactly, yeah. These cards are, I think, a lot of them are only going to get better and better and better the longer they're around.
Thank you for listening to the Play to Win podcast. Real quick before you go, if you're still here for whatever reason, we have playmats. They're back in stock. We were out of stock for a little bit, but they're back now. So if you'd like to purchase a Play to Win playmat, it really supports the channel. We mean a lot, and they're really cool. Thanks so much.
See you guys next time.